GB News.
There's just 2 weeks left to grab a chance to live the summer of your dreams. With a totally tax-free £76,543.21 in tax-free cash to be won. Someone really has to win it, and it could be you.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The GB News audience is different, it's unique, because they see through the nonsense.
We want to debate with each other, we want to listen and maybe learn.
We have a chat. That's what we do. We try and have a chat.
They'll watch my programme while they're eating their tea, they'll watch breakfast while they're busy getting their kids ready for school.
We want to hear what matters to you, what is news for you.
And what's brought you out here today? What are the biggest issues affecting this particular area?
The audience are the best thing about GB News.
Their friends, their family. They're people who need to have their voices heard.
They're passionate about the channel, they're passionate about what they believe in.
The one thing about GB News is you get a chance to speak.
Talk to me about why so many people have gathered here today.
Do you want to say something back in return?
The GB News audience is what makes GB News special.
It's incredible to see.
They shape our programmes, they shape our output, and they shape our channel.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Good evening, it's 9 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight on the show, well, they smashed the spine of an innocent officer with a sledgehammer, drove a van into a building and did it all openly in support of a proscribed terrorist organisation. That's right. Now the far left think it's a miscarriage of justice. How deranged are they?
Misinformation flies around the world like wildfire. That this young girl was defending her sister from a man who wanted to a migrant, who wanted to sexually assault her.
Right, do you remember the Dundee girl with the axe? Do you remember that? Remember you were told by the police and by left-wing politicians and the establishment media that her defence was misinformation. Well, guess what?
I've got the bombshell truth tonight. Also,
every lesson will link back to cultural diversity. We'll do unconscious bias on every single topic we do. So whether it's drink driving or whether it's stop and search, it's implemented throughout the whole course.
police spent 46 constable salaries on DEI and have quietly adopted the far-left policy of equity to ensure migrants get a leg up. Is this what they think equality really means? Plus... Yeah, this is damning. Belfast houses more asylum seekers per capita than almost anywhere else in the United Kingdom, according to official figures. I'll also be joined by a Northern Irish politician who was asked by the BBC if the riots were racist. And...
I sort of don't like the phrase changes in lifestyle. We're going to have better lives for people in the net zero world.
Yeah. God help us all, Ed Miliband is being lined up to be Chancellor under an Andy Burnham government. And what's his latest great idea? Well, let me put it this way. You can say goodbye to your underfloor heating. Also, Tommy Robinson is set to debate Islam at the Oxford Union despite outrage from the left. Why shouldn't he be allowed to take part in debate? And in other news, you'd think Keir Starmer would at least pretend to look happy attending what is probably his last ever Trooping the Colour. I mean, there it is over there, isn't it? Have a look at that. He's not happy, is he? On my panel tonight, Reform UK's London mayoral candidate Layla Cunningham is here, campaigns director at the Taxpayers Alliance William Yarwood, and political commentator Seb Salek is here too. Listen, I've got a massive show lined up for you on our 5th anniversary, but first we're going to get your news with the brilliant Bethany Elsey.
Alex, thank you. Good evening. Your top stories from the GB newsroom at 9:03. President Donald Trump insists a deal to end the war with Iran will be signed tomorrow and that the Strait of Hormuz will be reopened. But Iran says it won't. It's after Pakistan's Prime Minister said a peace deal to end the war is closer than ever before. Shehbaz Sharif says Pakistan has been involved in intense mediation efforts and that a deal could be signed within the next 24 hours. The Prime Minister has vowed to publish a new defence investment plan ahead of next month's NATO summit. It comes after a turbulent week for the government, marked by the resignation of the Defence Secretary John Healey and growing criticism over Britain's military spending and defence preparedness. NATO's Secretary-General has welcomed the increased investment as an important contribution to the alliance and to meeting the increased threats from around the globe. Some breaking news in the last half an hour. Resident doctors in England have called off strike action after the government made a new offer, which will now be put to its members. They were set to stage a 4-day walkout from Monday morning, the 16th round of strike action since 2023. But the British Medical Association says a last-minute offer has now been made. Around 3,000 people attended an anti-racism rally in Belfast following days of unrest in the city. The Together Against Hate protest took place outside City Hall this afternoon after days of violent demonstrations were sparked by a knife attack. Stephen Ogilvie lost an eye and suffered deep cuts to its head, face and back when he was attacked by a Sudanese man. 23 people have been arrested over the disorder that followed. 17 of those have been charged. Gun salutes and a full military procession. Thousands gather on the Mall to celebrate the King's official birthday. More than 1,000 soldiers, hundreds of horses and marching bands were involved in Trooping the Colour, the largest royal event in the calendar. Steeped in pageantry and tradition, the annual event attracts people from all over the world. The crowds cheered as King Charles, Queen Camilla and the Prince and Princess of Wales stepped onto the Buckingham Palace balcony before the finale, which saw the famous red arrows roar overhead in a dazzling flypast. And thousands of Scotland fans have travelled to the US to watch their country's first World Cup match since 1998. The Tartan Army will play Haiti at the Boston Stadium at 9 p.m. local time. That's 2 a.m. in the UK. Some say they've spent their life savings to be there.
I've spent the kids' inheritance and they're not happy about it. First time in 28 years we've qualified, so there's no way we're not going to miss it. There's no way we're going to miss it. I've never seen so many kilts, actually, in all my life. When I go to Scotland, I've not seen so many kilts as I've done here. Everybody's just getting into it, and it's absolutely brilliant.
Good luck to them. You're up to date. I'll be back at 10 o'clock.
A 12-year-old Scottish girl pulled out a knife and axe to defend her little sister after a Bulgarian pervert, Ilya Belov, approached 4 young girls saying, "Hello, sexy, I'll show you a good time." Well, he pushed the 12-year-old to the ground and assaulted her. His sister, Nadezhda, dragged and assaulted a 13-year-old girl, and only then did the girl produce any weapons, shouting, "Don't effing touch her, she's effing 12. Belov filmed it himself and tried to play the victim card when he posted the video. The story, of course, went viral around the world. And here's what former SNP First Minister Humza Yousaf said at the time.
But of course, Elon Musk, Tommy Robinson, and others, sympathisers of the far right, begin to spread misinformation that flies around the world like wildfire, that this young girl was defending her sister from a man who wanted to a migrant, who wanted to sexually assault her. And of course, that's why we needed all Pakistanis, Muslims, and people of colour out of this country, was then what was followed on. Of course, none of that was true. The police put out a statement yesterday saying that a Bulgarian couple, so European migrants, were approached by the youths, not the other way around.
Well, that's a shame for putting that video out, because that pervert you were quick to defend, Humza, Ilya Belov, has now been found guilty, and so has his sister, who aided him. Scottish police called this story misinformation when it first came out. The BBC and The Guardian said there was no evidence for the allegations, citing the police. Politicians implied the girl was a liar. Anyone who questioned the narrative was smeared as racist and far-right, weren't they? And after the conviction, of course, Chief Superintendent Elaine Logue admitted this: "I recognise the initial information did not fully reflect the situation." So the police spread misinformation about this story. Am I getting that right? Is that what happened? Well, John Swinney, now First Minister, of course, also indulged in a little bit of misinformation at the time.
But what is very important is that Police Scotland have issued a warning about deliberate misinformation that is being used to stoke up fear and alarm in our communities. And I am concerned about that, and everybody should be concerned about that.
Well, look, we all know what really happened, don't we? The establishment rushed to protect their political narrative they put it over innocent children. People like Humza Yousaf wanted to make it all about the far right and anti-migrant misinformation, as they'd call it, when people were making the criticism were right all along, weren't they? They weren't far right, they were just right. This is all reminiscent of the same attitude that led to the cover-up of Pakistani rape gangs, if you ask me. It is the same DEI-infected institutions as well, isn't it? The same anti-white racism that saw innocent girls as the criminals once again, and dangerous migrants as the victims. It is another example of two-tier policing, two-tier media, two-tier politicians being exposed once again. When will they learn that the truth will always catch up to them? Let's talk about this with my panel tonight. Reform UK's London mayoral candidate Layla Cunningham, campaigns director at the Taxpayers Alliance William Yarwood, and political commentator Sebastian Salek. Layla, I'll start with you. this story, when it first came out, the left was so quick to jump on people questioning the narrative. They were questioning what they had seen, that video that had been put up online, and they were all smeared. There was so many people smeared by left-wing politicians. Now they've got videos come out, the truth has come out. They all look really stupid, don't they?
And I wonder if they're going to apologise to the young girl and then everyone that they smeared. Well, what's funny, you say that the truth will always come out. Well, will it? Now they want to censor everything we have on our phone. Has to go, you know, in times of civil unrest. You know, the online safety bill that was meant to protect children, well, it's not actually protecting children. It's censoring this kind of information and protecting the government from the public. And we have to fight it with everything we can. I mean, awful that girl was smeared like that. People who said everything about it. How many stories? It's kind of the same situation with Henry Novak.
Yeah. Again, you're all wrong. This is coming from the police who... I can't understand why the CCTV footage they saw was different from the one that was seen by the court, but the court has obviously looked at this and they said about this guy's defence, they said it was implausible, in so many words, Will, implausible about when it came to him defending himself against these little girls. That was what he was saying. They were attacking him.
Yeah, and it's also it's him trying to play the victim, right? You know, trying to get out of this in any way he possibly can. And I actually agree with Layla. I want every politician, every individual from the BBC, from The Guardian, from other news outlets to actually retract what they said and apologise straight up. Because also they talk about disinformation. It was that lot who were spreading disinformation about this issue instead of waiting for the facts to come out and the court to make its decision. And they constantly say people on the right do that kind of stuff all the time. But actually these guys are just as bad as the people they claim to be spreading disinformation.
But we don't spread disinformation.
Yeah, well, of course not.
Seb, I'll put this over to you because I think the biggest problem with this story is that as soon as anyone suggested that the migrant actually was not the victim, he was the criminal, they were smeared. I'm seeing these tweets all day long, people that were surfacing from a year ago now, where people were calling people racist, far right, and it's that smearing that really inflames the tension of the situation. That's what I take massive issue with. I also take issue with the fact that the police seem to choose when they want to intervene on cases. They chose to intervene in this case, to release information to the public that said these stories you're putting out is misinformation. But they don't do that with many other cases, and that's why people are, again, talking about two-tier policing, two-tier politics, which I think is causing a massive division in our society.
Yeah, I mean, look, firstly, I'm glad that the truth has come out and that justice has taken its course in this way. It would have been terrible if that hadn't happened and we'd seen a miscarriage, which would have been awful. Look, I think that division is already there. It's not being caused by stories like this, it's being inflamed by them. I'm very careful about talking about the left does this, the right says this, because you have to be specific. You have to call out people or groups of people. You can't talk about broad swathes of ideology. Yes, there will have been individuals who jumped to conclusions and got it wrong. I think there's a big lesson in here there for all of us, especially those of us who come on television and commentate on issues that are often playing out, to make sure we get our facts straight. And look, I think the Henry Novak case was a good example of that as well, because we didn't really know what would happen at the beginning, yet we were all trying to pass judgment.
What do you make of it, Layla?
How long was she accused of being... How long was he accused?
Until the court made their judgment. So,
right, so
for the moment,
girl...
she was charged with weapons, with a carrying offence of weapons. And I will say this to anyone watching, we don't condone any children carrying weapons.
No.
Or anybody carrying a knife. I've made that really clear when I was talking about the Henry Novak case. Nobody should walk around with weapons. But, of course, the story here is about a man who approached these girls, made sexualised comments about them, and then, of course, he's been charged with being the aggressor here, not the girl.
I think that the problem is that politicians try and manipulate the truth to suit an ideology or to suit a narrative, and that's really dangerous because we really want politicians to just look at the facts and state them how they are. And you know, we're so divided right now. You know, the left somehow see everything through the lens of race and unfairness, and it's got to stop. You've got to see that a young girl was potentially assaulted by a migrant, and that's not a narrative. These things do happen. Migrants are coming into the country and sexually assaulting young girls. It's not a narrative. It is led by data. It is not a prejudice. It is not being bigoted. It is led by factual data that we see. And I think it's about time that the left, or whoever, left or not, you're right, it's about time that politicians that deny this truth and call anyone who calls it out as racist or bigoted, they've got to stop. They've got to acknowledge the pain.
How you're doing exactly what you've just warned against. You said we mustn't wield these cases to serve our narratives, and you've used this story to jump off and to make a point about how migrants are coming and attacking or raping people. That's wrong.
No, it's not, because it's true.
But all people, sadly, of all races and all colours and all beliefs, attack and rape people. And that's really upsetting, but it is just the case. You're wrong to zero in on a particular group of people.
And one of those groups are migrants. Will you admit or no?
Yes, I'm saying specifically all people, which includes migrants and includes non-migrants.
Not all people. I don't sexually assault young girls.
No, but people from all groups do.
Some are more prevalent than others, and some don't have to be in the country.
OK, so who are you saying is particularly prevalent?
Well, I'm attacking people who are let into this country, offered everything that we are, welcomed into this country, and they feel that they have the right to sexually assault young girls.
We'll agree about that. It's obviously wrong.
Well,
but to turn this into a political point, we agree on that, but you're trying to turn this into a political point.
What political point am I turning it?
What I understand you're saying is that therefore we must be hostile towards migrants, or we must limit migrants, or...
Yes, we must limit migrants.
Why, though?
Because we have migrants that come into this country that feel that they can sexually assault young girls. And that is wrong.
But why must all migrants lose out as a result of those horrible minorities?
Illegal migrants, for sure, must not come in. But we do not have an effective filtering system, and we've let in men who sexually assault young girls. That's it. And the sooner you admit it and we stop it, perhaps the country will be less divisive.
But the problem is, some of these people... Go on.
I just want to bring Will back into the conversation and talk about two-tier policing as well, right? Because we can get into a very, very long debate about migration. And actually, I want to talk... The broader strokes here is about the hypocrisy. It's about different treatment of people. And again, I think this is another two-tier policing case, in my opinion. The police decided to release information at the time. They don't do that with many cases where they say this is misinformation. They don't do that very often. They have done it on this case. They also were prejudiced against the young girl. They again, because of their statements early on in the case, it led to a bunch of politicians coming out going, oh, you're all racist and bigoted, far right. Is this a case, again, of two-tier policing? Does it show that the DEI virus is so deep inside that institution it goes back years?
Well, it's not just deep inside the public sector institution of the police, is deep inside the public sector more broadly. I mean, due to the Equality Act and due to various pieces of legislation passed by the last Conservative government, loads of public sector organisations have equity laws, they have inclusion practices. There's obviously been an explosion in EDI officers across the public sector, in Whitehall, in the police, and of course that makes them think and act in a certain way. And also, even if the public sector workers in any case don't want to act in that kind of way, the laws that are in place and the pressures that are put upon them makes them act in that way, even if they don't want to. So I think it is deeply embedded, Alex, and I think actually in order to get back to an equal and fair treatment under the law, or in the healthcare service or whatever it might be, I think actually a lot of this stuff needs to be ripped out from top to bottom.
Yeah, and I think this is the point, right? Everyone wants to live in a society where we're all equals.
Yeah.
And I believe in equality, not equity. I think equity gives certain groups more privilege than others, and you can't have equality if you have equity. It doesn't work that way. Is this the part of the ideological problem inside institutions that I think it obviously existed under the Tories as well, so I'm just as critical about them as that, but it does thrive mostly from left-wing ideology, where certain groups should get privileges because of their skin colour, their race, their background, which is identity politics at the end of the day.
So I do believe in equity rather than equality.
Why do you believe that?
Because people start from different places in life. And you
think so?
Of course they do.
You don't think that a white working-class kid and a brown working-class kid have the similar life?
They have similar experiences in that they're both working class, but they have different experiences in that one person might be treated differently based on the colour of their skin.
But you're assuming that they all do. That brown, white, working class person might have lived a perfectly reasonable life.
Oh, of course they could. But if you ask most brown people, they would tell you that they've had experiences that were negative because of the colour of their skin.
And if you ask most white working class people, they feel that they've been left behind now.
Well, that's the point, right?
So two wrongs don't make a right.
Sure, but that is more of a societal issue rather than an ethnic one.
No, it is right now. It is a legislative one, in that we are deprioritising the rights of white working class.
I understand that, but what I'm trying to say is that white working class people are very unlikely to have had racist abuse.
No, but they might have had why? That's the problem. We assume that racism flows only one way, and a white working class person must always be the oppressor and never a victim.
Well, the sad reality is in a dominant white country, it largely does.
And never a victim of racism. This is the problem. White people can suffer from racism. Can you say that? Can you admit that?
I think it's incredibly rare in this country.
Do you now?
In a majority white country, you are the default if you are white, as you are the default if you are man or straight or whatever else.
I've got to leave it there, but I think just my final thoughts on that, and you're obviously very entitled to your opinion. We are a free speech channel. My thoughts on that are that we're seeing now because of equity, we're seeing the reversal. The pendulum has swung too far. That's led to cases like Henry Novak, where they didn't believe he'd been stabbed. I think because he was white. That's my interpretation of it. And I think this little girl wasn't believed because she was a white little girl. And I think, again, if you go back to the Pakistani rape gangs, same situation there. And I believe you cannot treat people, some groups, more privileged than others, because all you do is create more inequality.
But why is the... sorry, we're going to a break.
Go on, very briefly.
Why is the consequence of that, let's scrap all DEI?
Because we could just be equals. I think once we're...
But we aren't.
We're not now.
In a hypothetical world, that would be beautiful.
You're saying we should never be equal. We should see conduct, not colour.
I'm not saying that. I'm emphatically not saying that.
All right, well, look, I've got to leave it there because we've already run over and I'm going to get told off. And I've only been on my first day back off holiday. I can't be doing it. I'm getting told off enough as it is. Right, time now for the Great British Giveaway. You know the prize, £76,543.21 in tax-free cash. Here's the details.
There's just 2 weeks left to make your summer sensational, as we're giving you the chance to win a simply stunning £76,543.21 in tax-free cash. That's cash that could go towards family treats, spectacular summer days out, or give you the chance to chill out and relax somewhere like here, the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos. You really could be our next big winner with a whopping £76,543.21 in your bank. But hurry, there's just 2 weeks remaining.
For a chance to win £76,543.21 in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, have you braced yourself? Have you had a breather? Because guess what? Could Ed Miliband, the man who wants to ban underfloor heating, be making his way into number 11? But next...
Every lesson will link back to cultural diversity. We'll do unconscious bias on every single topic we do. So whether it's drink driving or whether it's stop and search, it's implemented throughout the whole course.
I mean, it's really good timing that we've been talking about, two-tier policing, isn't it? Because one police force has spent the equivalent salary of 46 constables on DEI. Have our police forces been completely captured by this ideology? That's what we're debating next here on the show on Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, of course.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Welcome back, everybody. I took a week off and it feels like I've been away forever. It's a really weird feeling and I can't even talk. There you go. But look, we were just talking about two-tier policing and that leads me on to this debate we're going to have tonight because we're asking, have the police been completely captured by diversity, equity and inclusion? The issue of diversity training within policing has come under intense scrutiny following the murder of student Henry Novak in Southampton. Of course, after he was arrested and handcuffed as he lay dying while his Sikh attacker was initially treated as a victim. And now it's been revealed that West Yorkshire Police had a 19-strong diversity team made up of both uniformed officers and civilian staff with, get this, more than 1.4 million taxpayer pounds spent on salaries and training. To put that into perspective, that's the equivalent cost of employing around 46 police constables. Can the police do their job when they're worried about DEI? So we're now joined by Director for Change England, Kunle Aludo, and Labour activist Aisha Ali Khan. Kunle, thank you very much, both of you, for joining me. Kunle, I'll start with you. I guess many people, we're having this debate so regularly now, so regularly in Britain about two-tier policing. And the biggest worry people have is when they hear the words equity, what that means is to basically give privileges to minority groups or to different groups of people that perhaps aren't white, and that creates an imbalance. That's what many people feel DEI does. What do you make of it all?
I think there's been a big focus on more recent events, but we have to, I think, strip it back to the original Macpherson report, which actually described the police as institutionally racist. It's quite logical that the police, having faced that, would want to actually make improvements. But I think that the kind of consequences of that followed through with the Black Lives Matter process. We're now seeing that the stick, it seems, has been bent too far in the other direction. And in fact, it appears to a certain extent they have been captured by DEI initiatives, which, let's be honest, even in the Telegraph article, it doesn't actually explain and highlight what the actual impact of all that resource has actually made. And so to get a balanced picture, I think we also need to look at that as well. It's quite sensible that police want to improve their relations with how they interact with the public and that there should be some forms of training. But the levels of expenditure that we saw in West Yorkshire are extraordinary.
Yeah, Aisha, of course, lovely to see you again. I'll put this over to you because I think Kunle hit the nail on the head. I don't think anyone is surprised that there was racism in the police in the past. I think we can all agree that that's a bad thing. We don't want it. But as the pendulum swung so far in the other direction now that you're actually starting to see, you know, perhaps unconscious bias against white people because of the training, because of all of the overindulgent people being overindulgent in DEI. Is that where we're headed now? Is that a dangerous route?
No, I don't think we're anywhere near that point, Alex. And I read the same article, the Telegraph article today, and I just want to say that if you actually look, because I am from West Yorkshire, I live in Keighley, and I've had lots of dealings with the local police force, and they've been absolutely brilliant, actually. And if you actually look, West Yorkshire Police serves 2.35 million people. So the idea that you have 19 posts, which actually have now been reduced to 12 posts of jobs related to DEI, that's a tiny number. And the fact that 1.5 million or so has been spent, we don't know over what period of time that is. And I think it's wrong.
I think it's 2024, 2025, that period of time. I believe it is.
Thank you, Alex. I think it's wrong to argue that we don't need DEI. I mean, if you look at what I grew up, we had Bradford riots in 1995 and then 2000, 6 years later, 2001. And there was actually very little trust in the police force. We had to have, conversations. Even recent incidents that have happened, the far right have come to Yorkshire a number of occasions. And we actually have very good relations now after all these years because of initiatives like DEI training, and obviously people coming forward and sharing their experiences and turning to the police for help, which was not the case 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Okay.
So I think it's really wrong, Alex, to say that this is completely a waste of time, it hasn't achieved anything, when actually it has. I feel a lot safer. I feel when obviously I've had to call the police a few times for help and they've always turned up, and I just cannot thank them enough.
Yeah, what do you make of that, Kunle?
I think that the quality of policing has changed over the last 25 years.
For the better.
When I was growing up, I experienced a lot of police harassment, stop and search, etc. The police that we have today are far removed from those times. And they've been through not just the mill, but been through a whole range of different experiences, and it's a whole new generation of officers. So the quality in terms of the type of training they should be getting, I think should also reflect that. And instead of actually starting from a negative standpoint, we should be actually looking at how things have improved and how things have got better. That's not to say that it's perfect. Stop and search is still remarkably biased in terms of the numbers of people from minorities that are engaged in it. We still have incidents like the information covered in the Casey report. We also had, the police station undercover work that was done by journalists, which exposed a lot of wrongdoing. But I would still argue, as somebody who works in the race equality field, things have improved immeasurably.
All right. OK, both of you, thank you so much. Kunle, Aisha, so good to see you both. Thank you for joining me on the show tonight. A spokesman for West Yorkshire Police said the force had reduced the number of DEI roles by approximately 7 since the figures were published. And before we go to the break, I just want to give a shout out to GB News regular Adam Brooks. You'll all be familiar with him. He has won his boxing match against Raheem Pardesi via a unanimous decision. Adam, absolutely superb, mate. I can't wait to have you back on the show. We'll celebrate sometime soon. Next.
I sort of don't like the phrase changes in lifestyle. We're going to have better lives for people in the net zero world.
Yeah, well, he wants to ban your underfloor heating. That's what he does, and your towel rails. That's coming up next. Is he on the way to number 11? I hope not. He's coming up next.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast. Whilst there's plenty of summer sunshine across much of southern Europe tomorrow, it's not fine and sunny everywhere. There's some showery rain affecting parts of Turkey, a few showers across southern Greece and around some of the islands. Mostly dry for Italy and into France as well, but we do have rain currently across western parts of Spain and Portugal, and that is going to feed its way eastwards as we go through tomorrow as well. Looking into next week, and well, there's plenty of sunshine on the cards. Bye-bye. All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office.
High pressure continues to build into Sunday, so lots of dry weather on its way, though perhaps a bit cloudier tomorrow compared to conditions we've seen today. Though it's very much been a north-south split in our weather, high pressure clinging on to the south, bringing mostly dry, settled conditions here. But at times low pressure has brought in some cloud, some showers across the north. Now as high pressure continues to build, most of these showers will ease away, becoming confined mostly to northern parts of Scotland through the course of the night. And elsewhere we'll see a mix of cloud, also some clearer skies, winds lightening off as well. Most towns and cities in the low double digits, though in some rural areas under the clearer skies we could get down to the mid-single figures, so feeling a little bit cooler and fresher in these areas. So to start the day across Scotland, like I say, there will still be some showers lingering across parts of the north, a bit more cloud here. Much lighter winds, though still a fair breeze around eastern coasts of Scotland. Across southern areas of Scotland, northern England, a mix of cloud and also some clearer skies, but plenty of cloud across Northern Ireland. This could be thick enough to produce some very light outbreaks of rain. And it's a fairly similar picture elsewhere across England and Wales. Some cloud, some bright if not sunny spells at times. Now this stretch of cloud across central areas of the country could be thick enough to produce some light showers through the course of the day, but they should be mostly isolated. Many areas will see a dry, settled day, but a mix of cloud across the skies could create hazier spells of sunshine. Feeling very warm in the sunshine, particularly across the southwest. Highs could get to around 25 to 26 degrees Celsius here. Now heading into Monday, once again lots of dry, settled weather, some sunshine to come. That's away from the southwest though, some heavy bands of showers starting to move across into Wales, southern and southwest England. We may even hear the odd rumble of thunder, and there'll still be some showers into next week, though temperatures will increase day by day, so still feeling very warm in the sunshine.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
GB loyalty points are here. They're our way of saying thank you for spending time with GB News. Through commenting on your say, voting in You Decide polls and shaping the debate, you can earn GB loyalty points. Unlock rewards, reach milestones and climb leaderboards. Don't just watch our programmes, come and be part of them. Get started by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/loyalty points.
Welcome back to Alex Armstrong Tonight. Well, as you know, part of the government's latest drive towards net zero, Ed Miliband, our favourite Minister, Secretary of State, is working on proposals to ban underfloor heating and towel rails. Yes, you heard me right. New energy efficiency rules would also outlaw or restrict half of gas fires and storage heaters and make a third of existing space heating systems illegal to sell. Well, it comes as the Labour leadership saga drama continues, with rumours circulating that Mr Miliband is eyeing up Rachel Reeves's job in number 11. I've got my panel back in the room with me. Will, let's start with you on this one, because it's a very... We don't want to talk about anything local, just put that out there. We can't say certain words tonight. As you all know, we're in a bit of a weird period with Purdah. But Ed Miliband and his mental...
Gang of thieves?
Yeah, whatever it is, stealing everyone's money to pay for green net zero. That's what some people are saying. But this is... His policies, if you put him into number 11, it would be on steroids, wouldn't it? You wouldn't have any heating left.
Yeah, he would be on steroids, and also then he'd hike taxes on British people in order to basically to pay for it. I mean, the Office of Budget Responsibility said that a net zero transition is going to cost taxpayers about £30 billion a year, upwards to that 2050 deadline. And this is just another example of his pretty insane policies. And actually, I think it says something about the man himself. It's very nannying, it's very interventionist, it's almost quite sort of Soviet and poor-minded in the sense of, you know, we're not thinking about abundance, we're not thinking about growth, we're not thinking about how to improve people's lives. We're thinking about how to make their lives more miserable. You can only have your towel rack on for 6 hours a day. You know, new houses can't have underfloor heating. I think that we should be encouraging this kind of stuff. We should be encouraging things like that, in air conditioning as well. We should be encouraging abundance and cheaper energy, making people's lives easier and more comfortable, not engaging in policies like net zero, which is doing the exact opposite and is costing taxpayers billions of pounds every single year.
Yeah, I guess this is the thing, Layla, is that people see this stuff. We had the winter fuel allowance crisis at the start of this government, which immediately took them down from 30% to 20%. I was thinking it was such a disaster that they shot themselves in the foot. But yet they're still going after heating. You can't have your fire on. You won't be able to have underfloor heating. You won't be able to have a heated towel rack. All these new builds will just be completely white walls and you'll freeze in the winter. It doesn't make sense to British people because we have very long and cold winters.
I feel like it's the government that just bans stuff. You know, they don't build, they just ban. They want to ban social media, they want to ban stuff you see on your phone, they want to ban heating, they want to ban cars. I mean, they just want to ban. And I found it remarkable when I read the story. The same day that America celebrated $1 trillion company that sent rockets, you know, a private company that sends rockets into space. We are debating how long you can keep your tower rail. I mean, it is a proxy of on the country today. You know, they are building for the future. We are regulating into the past. It really is. It really is a problem. Elon Musk is sending rockets into space, and we are banning underfloor heating.
And we can't even build HS2, which I worked on when I was in Parliament.
And then they talk about, I'm really serious about growth. You know, you know, they think it's just like a slogan.
Yeah, and they think it's just a lever they can pull. Let
me bring you in.
Growth today.
Right. The Tories, you know, for their sins as well, because we like a bit of balance on this show, they had the ban on aircon in new homes, right? Bonkers. So we could be left with a world where you can't have underfloor heating, you can't have a heated towel rail, you can't have air conditioning. You're just going to be sat in a box. I think this is what people worry about. They hear these sorts of policies and they panic because they think, for goodness sake, get out of my home. Let me do what I want with my home. Let me do what I want. Why do you think the government needs to interfere with decisions like this? Surely it's not top of the agenda.
Well, the point is we have to heat our homes somehow. We have to run our appliances somehow. And I think aircon, we have to have a real discussion about, with temperatures going up, how do we keep ourselves cool in the summer? We're all sweating. But the reality is the option of doing nothing is not there for us. You can't drill, baby, drill. That is not a route we can go down. So you have to find a solution.
You can drill, baby, drill if you want to.
And then what?
Well, at least you'd be able to subsidise the energy sector if you want to go green. And I think we will go green naturally over time, but you can massively subsidise. Yeah, why won't
Net zero is not a naturally occurring phenomenon. You
need
political grit to make that happen.
Well, every industrial revolution is
I'd say you need political grift.
Every industrial revolution...
Very good wordplay. Wouldn't agree on the political sentiment.
Industrial revolutions are driven, and energy revolutions are driven by private companies and desired by the consumer, not by governments forcing it down people's throats.
Private companies have one mandate, and that is to return value to their shareholders. It is not to stop the planet from burning. You need governments to step in, because otherwise no one else will.
We contribute less than 1%. It must be lower than that.
And many other countries like us do, but if you add them all up, you get to something between 30 and 40%. That's a really significant part of the country. So if we all abdicate our responsibilities, the planet burns, I'm afraid.
Layla?
I don't believe in that. No country, we have a growth issue and a productivity issue. No country that has pursued net zero as aggressively as Ed Miliband does has growth, sadly. Cheap, sovereign, abundant energy underpins everything. It underpins transport, manufacturing, AI.
What does that look like? What is cheap, sovereign, abundant energy?
I'm not fundamentally against green energy. What I'm against is it is not a free market. If green energy is a better product, then put it on the free market and let the consumer decide. Right now, we are paying subsidies, and the government's picking the winners and losers. I'm happy to have a mix, but right now we are subsidising.
We don't have time for that. We don't have time. The planet is burning.
So do you know that India and China are opening coal mines almost every week? And we are importing all the infrastructure for your green energy from them at worse emissions. How does that equation make sense?
It's not a pure affair. It's not perfect, but it's don't let that be the enemy of the good.
Last word to Will. Go on. Last word.
Yeah. Well, also, where's nuclear in all of this? You know, the last Conservative government, the coalition government as well. Nick Clegg famously said, we're not building new nuclear power stations because it won't be open until 2022. Well, guess what? It's 2026, guys. And nuclear, if you actually want to get green, and I don't disagree with some of the points that have been made about green energy. I'm for abundant energy. I don't care where it comes from. I don't care if it's solar. I don't care if it's wind, hydroelectric, nuclear. But I think that we've been leaving lots of cheap energy on the table by our failure to invest and build nuclear power stations.
All right. Well, look, coming up on this show, as you know, these lot attacked an officer with a sledgehammer, drove a van into a building and acted in support of a prescribed terrorist organisation. But the left are calling it, the far left I'd argue actually, a miscarriage of justice. But next, guess who's made his way back into number 10? I'll reveal it all.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Which of us doesn't like a puffin? Which of us doesn't like a dolphin? I mean, come on, we love these creatures. I bet your fellow guest loves them. Let's ask him, shall we?
OK. Rafe, how do you feel about dolphins?
Yeah, there's nothing uniquely British about the dolphin. There are very few uniquely British species. And the key point here is that it's young nations that use flora and fauna. Nations with a proud history and legacy, such as Britain does, we celebrate our past, we celebrate our great achievements. Banknotes are a symbol of national identity, and they are symbols of sovereignty. They rank right up there with the flag, the crown, with our coat of arms, and our honour system as symbols of the British nation. We live in an age now where people are so ignorant of history. Banknotes are one of the very few occasions when people actually get to be introduced to historical figures and learn about them.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
He or she is obliged to write an equality impact assessment for every single policy that Kingston Council does. This person has come up with something which is simply true. Women do more domestic tasks than men. Women like to look nice. This person has stated something true. For this, the Kingston Council has now, and I'll read it out, they've apologised. They've issued a statement. Guess what? They've launched an investigation. And now they're going to review their procedures. I mean, this is a woke doom spiral. And it's the faster we can get away from these equality impact assessments, the public sector equality duty that drives all this, the better.
The People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Dorothea, how does it feel being here today, joining other veterans?
Everybody was so friendly in those days. We had one purpose in life, which was to free the world from Nazism and to get on with enjoying life. And it's so nice now that still looking to see if any of us are left, poor old dears, so they can say thank you and we can get together and talk about it. After the war, you simply didn't mention it. It went out of everybody's consciousness.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Have you ever been sacked and then been back at your job in less than 4 months? Well, someone has.
As I said in my resignation statement, I resigned because I believe responsibility should rest with those who make serious mistakes. Accountability in public life cannot apply only when it is convenient. The Prime Minister relied on my advice, and I got it wrong.
Oh, Morgan McSweeney, there he is. He's back advising the Prime Minister 4 months after he resigned. resigned. I mean, I never believe anyone resigns in politics. They're pushed, aren't they? Over his role, of course, in the Mandelson scandal. Well, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has once again turned to his long-time ally, Morgan McSweeney, as he tries to face down an expected leadership challenge. I'm back with my panel here. Will, I'll start with you. It beggars belief, but what it does is it shows how desperate Keir Starmer is.
Yeah.
He's so desperate. You wouldn't have seen... It's like Boris bringing back Dominic Cummings.
Right.
You know? That's what this is like.
Perfect comparison, because also Boris was so reliant on Cummings, especially for the first years of his premiership. And now, of course, Starmer is going back to Sweeney because of issues he's having in Number 10 and with his party more broadly. But also one thing is interesting is McSweeney in that clip there was talking about it's important for public workers to be accountable. It's important, you know, I resign and make sure I take, credit, not credit, but take the blame for this issue. But he's now back. If he's now coming back, well, he's not. That was all guff. That was all guff for the newspapers. That was all guff for TV. He doesn't actually really deep down believe in that, because if he had any principles and he was genuinely, sorry, and if he was genuinely concerned about the way he did the Mandelson affair, he would have said, "Sorry, Prime Minister, but I think it's important I take a step back from public life because of what I've done." And now he's coming back because, of course, Keir Starmer is just desperate and is just trying to get the old gang back together who got him into power, of course, possibly to even keep him there.
And makes you wonder who's running the government. It's so opaque. I don't even know what is he coming back to do exactly.
An advisor.
Yeah. And what does that
But there's
mean?
no formal role. They're just speaking on the phone every now and then. So I think we should be careful not to overblow this too much. But you can understand why,
So he's not hired again?
He's not been hired again. They're just speaking on the phone, and there are a few reports in the eye that they've been having those conversations. But you can see why he's doing it. Like, he's in a moment of peril, isn't he? The Prime Minister's probably going to have a leadership
But why
challenge.
is he in the peril? He's in the peril because of, allegedly, people like Morgan McSweeney.
Well, this is the interesting point as well. So there are 2
place.
parts to this. The first is that he's in the peril, and who do you go to? People you trust, people you know, people you've worked with.
Yeah, that's true.
But and there's this cruel irony that you are the strategist who wins the election, and then you come in and you do a completely different job, which is being, a political advisor in Number 10. And McSweeney was very good at Number 1, arguably less good at Number 2. Now we're looking at going into a leadership campaign, which Starmer has said he will fight. So I'm not surprised at all that he's going back to McSweeney, who's already won him one election, and saying, "Can you help me again?"
But McSweeney led to Starmer's downfall as well by appointing Mandelson.
Yeah,
but that's short. But that's what's so obtuse about all of this to me,
Totally.
because it beggars belief. Can you imagine if Boris had brought back Cummings, or in any way was getting advice from Dominic Cummings, the newspapers would have had a field day with it.
Yeah.
Boris,
but they had an abysmal falling out, though, didn't they? So I don't think you could make that comparison.
But it's almost like being like a professional football team that keeps losing, and you hire the coach, and you hire the coach that kept you getting to lose. Does Starmer not have any ideas of his own? Can he not stand at his own 2 feet? Is he that reliant?
All prime ministers have advisors, don't they?
But surely he has others. Is it? Does he not? Why did he?
He does have others.
Why does he want to be prime minister? Does he not have any ideas, anything he wants to do in office that he needs McSweeney to feed it to him?
But the point is that right now he's facing a potential leadership challenge. So I can't blame him for going back and speaking to the man who won him the last election and saying, "Hey, can we work something out? I'm going to need your help."
But it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see if those tactics which helped Starmer win and take over the party, and McSweeney was involved in that.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see if that all works again, because of course, first time around people bought it. The Labour Party did radically change over those period of time in quite an impressive way in some ways. Getting rid of some of the more anti-Semitic elements, getting rid of the hard left elements. But it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to work when you don't have to essentially purge or deal or reconstruct a party, when you have a party on a parliamentary level and on the members level who actually would like to see the back of you. It's going to be interesting to see if they buy that and if McSweeney's charm works the second time around.
Certainly a different challenge.
Neil here on your side, a couple of others have said Mandelson will be back next.
Oh, oh no!
Don't joke. This is the insanity of it all, isn't it? It's like, he's appointed a new head of comms, a new chief of staff, but none of them clearly are doing or acting in Starmer's interest. If I were them, I'd be thinking about the next person coming into the job, how I might be able to cozy up to them. And this is the problem with it all, isn't it? It is looking increasingly desperate from a government that has lost its way. A defence secretary basically resigning over an energy secretary is unheard of in British politics. There's so much going on that he's having to rely on the guy that cost him an election. Anyway, look, coming up, these lot attacked an officer with a sledgehammer. They drove a van into a building and acted in support of a prescribed terrorist organisation. But the left are calling it a miscarriage of justice. I'm going to expose this. I think it's disgraceful disgraceful hypocrisy that I think is very dangerous. That's coming up next on Alex Armstrong Tonight.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. High pressure continues to build into Sunday, so lots of dry weather on its way, though perhaps a bit cloudier tomorrow compared to conditions we've seen today. Though it's very much been a north-south split in our weather, high pressure clinging on to the south, bringing mostly dry, settled conditions here. But at times low pressure has brought in some cloud, some showers across the north. Now as high pressure continues to build, most of these showers will ease away, becoming confined mostly to northern parts of Scotland through the course of the night. And elsewhere we'll see a mix of cloud, also some clearer skies. Winds lightening off as well. Most towns and cities in the low double digits, though in some rural areas under the clearer skies we could get down to the mid-single figures, so feeling a little bit cooler and fresher in these areas. So to start the day across Scotland, like I say, there will still be some showers lingering across parts of the north, a bit more cloud here. Much lighter winds, though still a fair breeze around eastern coasts of Scotland. Across southern areas of Scotland, northern England, a mix of cloud and also some clearer skies, but plenty of cloud across Northern Ireland. This could be thick enough to produce some very light outbreaks of rain. And it's a fairly similar picture elsewhere across England and Wales. Some cloud, some bright if not sunny spells at times. Now this stretch of cloud across central areas of the country could be thick enough to produce some light showers through the course of the day, but they should be mostly isolated. Many areas will see a dry, settled day, but a mix of cloud across the skies could create hazier spells of sunshine. Feeling very warm in the sunshine, particularly across the southwest. Highs could get to around 25 to 26 degrees Celsius here. Now heading into Monday, once again, lots of dry, settled weather, some sunshine to come. That's away from the southwest though, some heavy bands of showers starting to move across into Wales, southern and southwest England. We may even hear the odd rumble of thunder, and there'll still be some showers into next week, though temperatures will increase day by day, so still feeling very warm in the sunshine.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's just 2 weeks left to grab a chance to live the summer of your dreams. With a totally tax-free £76,543.21 in tax-free cash to be won. Someone really has to win it, and it could be you.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good evening, it's 10 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight on the show, they smashed the spine of an innocent officer with a sledgehammer, drove a van into a building and did it all openly in support of a prescribed terrorist organisation. And they have been locked up. But the far left think that's a miscarriage of justice. How deranged are they? Belfast houses more asylum seekers per capita than almost anywhere else in the United Kingdom. That is according to official figures. I'm also going to be joined by a Northern Irish activist who was asked by the BBC if the riots last week were indeed racist. His answer might surprise you. And a big shout out here to a GB News favourite superstar, Adam Brooks. He has won his boxing match tonight against Rahim Pardesi via a unanimous decision. And of course, as well, he was doing it for knife crime. So well done to you, Adam. I hope you're having a nice rest. We'll see you in the next weekend, hopefully. And in other news, you think that Keir Starmer would at least pretend to look happy attending what is probably his last ever Trooping the Colour as Prime Minister. But he looks a little bit glum, doesn't he? I wonder why. I wonder what's playing on his mind. On my panel tonight, Reform UK's London mayoral candidate Layla Cunningham, campaigns director at the Taxpayers Alliance William Yarwood, and political commentator Sebastian Salek. A massive couple of hours still coming up on this show. Trust me, it's going to be a good one tonight. But first, we're going to get your news with Bethany Elsey.
Good evening, your 10 o'clock news from the GB Newsroom. President Donald Trump insists a deal to end the war with Iran will be signed tomorrow and that the Strait of Hormuz will be reopened. It's after Pakistan's Prime Minister said a peace deal to end the war is closer than ever before. Shehbaz Sharif says Pakistan has been involved in intense mediation efforts and that a deal could be signed within the next 24 hours. But Iran disputes this, with officials saying they won't sign a deal tomorrow.
Where does that stand? I looked at it.
The Prime Minister has vowed to publish a new defence investment plan ahead of next month's NATO summit. It comes after a turbulent week for the government, marked by the resignation of the Defence Secretary, John Healey, and amid growing criticism over Britain's military spending and defence preparedness. NATO's Secretary-General has welcomed the increased investment as an important contribution to the alliance and that it will meet the increased global threats. Resident doctors in England have called off strike action after the government made a new offer which will be put to members. They were set to stage a 4-day walkout from Monday morning, the 16th round of strike action since 2023. But the British Medical Association says a last-minute offer has been made. Around 3,000 people attended an anti-racism rally in Belfast following days of unrest in the city. The Together Against Hate protest took place outside City Hall this afternoon after days of violent demonstrations, which were sparked by a knife attack. Stephen Ogilvie lost an eye and suffered deep cuts to his head, face and back when he was attacked by a Sudanese man. 23 people have been arrested over the disorder that followed. 17 of those have been charged. Gun salutes and a full military procession. Thousands gather on the Mall to celebrate the King's official birthday. More than 1,000 soldiers, hundreds of horses and marching bands were involved in Trooping the Colour, the largest royal event in the calendar. Steeped in pageantry and tradition, the annual event attracts people from all over the world. The crowds cheered as King Charles, Queen Camilla and the Prince and Princess of Wales stepped onto the Buckingham Palace balcony. That's before the finale, which saw the famous red arrows roar overhead in a dazzling flypast. And thousands of Scotland fans have travelled to the US to watch their country's first World Cup match since 1998. The Tartan Army will play Haiti at the Boston Stadium at 9 p.m. local time. That's 2 a.m. here in the UK. Some say they've spent their life savings just to be there.
I've spent the kids' inheritance and they're not happy about it. First time in 28 years we've qualified, so there's no way we're not going to miss it. There's no way we're going to miss it. I've never seen so many kilts, actually, in all my life. When I go to Scotland, I've not seen so many kilts as I've done here. Everybody's just getting into it, and it's absolutely brilliant.
Those are your latest headlines. Let's get back to Alex.
Well, smash a sledgehammer over an innocent police officer's back, fracture her spine. Yeah, and while you're at it, drive a van into a building. Destroy private property and threaten innocent people. Just look at these people here. Look at them. And let's not forget, while you're at it, openly do all of this in support of what is now a proscribed terrorist organisation. That's what 4 deranged Palestine Action terrorist group members committed here on British soil. They have been locked up for it, all of them, after a retrial found them rightfully guilty. And I say good riddance. Yet, Zach Palansky, here in his tweet, Green Party leader, called the sentences gut-wrenching and praises their violence as taking direct action. Can you believe it? And far-left commentators like Owen Jones have amplified outrage by calling it a hideous injustice that the criminals were sentenced for trying to stop a genocide. Many would argue that comments like theirs lead to scenes like these. Have they fanned the flames of violence, perhaps? Isn't this what they accused the so-called far right of doing over the Belfast riots? Didn't they all condemn what happened in Belfast just a week ago? These same people are stinking hypocrites, dangerous sellers of two-tier justice, and are, in my opinion, excusing severe criminal acts of grievous bodily harm and many other things that those deranged people did there, and actions you'd expect to see from terrorists. How dare they ever comment on crimes or violence in Britain ever again? They have forever been exposed. They have exposed themselves for what they are to everyone in this country. We must never let these politicians or those people who are the single greatest threat to our democracy right now ever near the door of number 10. And their ideology has got to be destroyed, hasn't it? Should we get the thoughts of my panel? Reform UK's London mayoral candidate Layla Cunningham, campaign director at the Taxpayers Alliance William Yarwood, and political commentator Sebastian Salick. Layla, I'll start with you on this one.
I was shocked by what he said. I don't know many people that look at a police officer who's put on that uniform to save the public, has a fractured spine with a sledgehammer slammed on it, and feel sorry for the perpetrator. It is remarkable, and that person wants to run our country. I've prosecuted a lot of assault against emergency workers, which ends up being police officers. They live with that trauma for life. You know, it affects their job, it affects their confidence when they go out on the street the next day. Police officers put their life at risk to keep us safe. And and rightly so, it's an aggravated offence when you attack them, and Parliament recognises the extra risk that they take. And yet we have a police officer who has her spine broken, and unlike the whole public, Zach Polanski feels sympathy with the criminal. I mean, it just tells you everything. That man is dangerous.
It's shocking, Seb. It's shocking because just a week ago, these same people were losing their minds over what they called racist riots in Belfast, yet when violence happens on their own side, which I called out that violence, by the way. I don't mind people telling me and criticising me. I will always call out violence from whoever it is. It is unacceptable in Britain. We do not solve our differences or take political actions through violent means. But doesn't it say something about the sort of people that were willing to criticise that, but when their own people are locked up for heinous attack on a private property, on a police officer, they failed to condemn it in its whole.
I mean, I suspect this is going to be part of the show where we will agree with each other. There is no excuse for violence. There is no excuse for criminal damage. And I think the crux of the debate really is around going back a step, really, whether Palestine action should be prescribed, because a lot of the people who are trying to defend these people are saying they shouldn't have been prescribed, therefore they shouldn't have been treated as a terrorist offence. But the fact of the matter is, if you were a judge, you were dealt the facts in front of you, and you have to make your decision based on those. So the judge was in no position to discard that, nor should they have.
Yeah, what do you make of it, Will?
I'd first like to say that I'd like to reiterate the comments made. Violence is never the answer, whether you're on the right or the left, whatever issue it is. You should never go out and attack police officers. You may have criticisms of the institution, but you can't have criticisms of individual police officers or public sector workers who are just doing their jobs. I think Polanski and people like him are dangerous, and I think they've been actually pushed off the deep end to some extent by this Gaza-Israel issue. Now, you're more than welcome to have your opinions on that. So, foreign policy in that area is not really my area of interest or knowledge. But when they're praising direct action, which in reality means violence against innocent people, violence against police officers, violence against property. And that shows you that when it comes to their subjects and their issues, using violence is completely fine because you're stopping a genocide, because you're doing this. No. You need to have a consistent abhorrence and opposition to violence across the board, not just when it's your side doing it.
Well, especially if you're a public leader, if you're a leader of a political party.
Who wants to be number 10, who wants to be Prime Minister.
And I bet you he wouldn't say that to the officer's face.
No.
He should try looking at the officer and saying, I don't think the guy who broke your spine with a sledgehammer should go to prison.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, her life has been ruined. I mean, I was reading the story on this earlier, and it was heartbreaking to read what she was saying in court about how she wakes up in the middle of the evening, she's permanently damaged for life, she's had to resign her position inside of the police.
Her rank, right?
Her rank. Her life has been ruined by this act that never needed to happen.
But people don't realise, I've prosecuted many minor, and officers get horrific abuse. They are spat at constantly, and spitting is really disgusting. They're spat at in their faces, and it is the duty, in my opinion, of any political leader to fully back the police. Of course, there are rotten apples, but in this instance, in any time when they're subjected to violence, it has to be no doubt that I support you.
Yeah, this is the thing, right? For me, it's not that they can make their case about the prescription of where the Palestine action should have been a prescribed terrorist group. They can make that case. But what I think they've done here, Seb, is hide behind that. They've used that rather than to condemn these people who have driven into a building, who have damaged, ruined someone's life, an innocent officer doing her job. They have taken direct action because they've been inspired to do it, because this whole movement has got out of control. This whole thing has got out of control. Do you not think this is the failure of governments to crack down on this? It's become... And that's why I guess the prescription took place in the end, is because this movement itself has become so riled up by people who feel like they are... There's people who are on Twitter today who are saying this is an acceptable form of resistance. This is stopping a genocide. These are people writing to me. These people are heroes. They're saying they're heroes. They're saying this is stopping a genocide. Is there any truth to that?
I don't think it's necessarily stopping a genocide. Look, I think it's perfectly possible to hold the viewpoint of view where you can be appalled by what's going on in Palestine. You could also support the right of the Jewish people to a homeland. Those are two interoperable points of view. And you could also not go around smashing equipment or supporting those who do. That is all perfectly possible. And what concerns me is that there are lots of people who, well, those people who support this who are on the left, I don't think came into politics to do this. Often if you're on the left and you come into politics, you are advocating peace. You are often a pacifist. You do not go down those routes. And I would just encourage people who are supporting this to stop and think about the journey they've been on, whether it's one they want to continue with.
Do you think they should have been prescribed a terrorist organisation, Palestine Action?
So it's hard, because the reason they were prescribed was never fully disclosed. So it's one of those...
because they attacked the military plane.
Yeah. I think that's when the prescription began, when they attacked the military base. I can't remember what the base was called.
You cannot attack our sovereign military base and not be deemed a terrorist.
Yeah.
That is a terrorist act. That's why they were prescribed.
I agree. What I seem to remember from the time, and I could be wrong, was that Yvette Cooper, who was the Home Secretary at the time, said there was other intelligence we're acting on. So it's one of those weird moments where you're asked to trust the government, and I do. And look, there are many people who walk around in Palestine Action T-shirts who are obviously not terrorists, but you have to respect the law. You can't go trying to find a way around it.
Yeah. What do you think, Will?
And look, like that other intelligence could have been possible other attacks on military bases. It could have been other attacks on other things. And I think it's a really depressing state in a liberal democracy that we are, that we have groups and indeed politicians who want to be Prime Minister, not just condoning it, but almost encouraging this kind of violence because of the cause they believe in. And look, you know, I feel very strongly about a variety of things, tax and spend issues, but I would never, ever call for violence to be used against Treasury officials, against the Chancellor, against anyone like that, because that's not how you deal with this. You deal with facts, reason, debate, argument, and voting at the ballot box, not violence.
Well, for those of you tuning in tonight, I may have seen some exchanges on X, the social media platform. I did invite, and my producer did reach out to Owen Jones today to invite him on the programme to defend his comments. Here's what he sent back to us. He said, GB News is his tweets. So he took screenshots of what my producer was saying and then put it on his X feed. He said, GB News presenter Alex Armstrong is not just a hateful little man, he's a pathetic little man. I have a feeling I might be taller than you, Owen. What are you, like, 5'7"? Anyway, and then he moved on because he was so rattled because everything he said, I just sort of batted it back. So he was very rattled. And then he went and said this: that's really kind. And if I ever decide, this is to my producer, Ben, that's really kind. And if I ever decide to cancel my plans with someone who, if his IQ were a few points lower, would need watering daily, I'll definitely consider Alex Armstrong. I mean, look, nice try at the wit, Owen. However, you know, slandering our channel, which is another thing he did. He said, imagine being the sort of person who spends Saturday night watching GB News. If that's you, seriously, get help. Get some friends. Our time on this earth is so short and precious. Make some difficult choices. Well, if you are watching GB News, happy birthday to all of you that have been watching us for 5 years. We are the #1 news channel, unfortunately, Owen, so you are not in your own company. At least they're not winning. We know you're rattled. He, of course, called us losers. I think Owen Jones is already a loser and says we're not a news channel. We are an Ofcom regulated and defined news channel. And unlike Owen Jones, who blocks half of Twitter, we want to have him on to have a free speech discussion. That's our challenge to you, Owen. I hope you're having fun whatever your night is, but I'm sure you'll be watching this in one way or another, won't you? You definitely will. He managed to find my Twitter account, even though he's blocked me, won't speak to me, accused me of being everything from an extremist onwards. And this is the problem, isn't it, Layla? We want to have discussions because I believe, and I think this channel believes, that when we have difficult conversations, the best thing we can do is discuss them openly and have a fair and free debate. I hope you always, on my panels, are always able to say whatever you want to say. I never stop you from saying what you want to say, and the same for you and the same for you. But sometimes the left don't want to have a free speech discussion, and it ends up driving this massive outrage because we're all in our own echo chambers.
Yeah, 100%. And then they'll always resort to personal attacks, and they'll never... You know, even when I was like with Mick Lynch on Newsnight, and they just say lies. You want to privatise the NHS, he starts saying. I'm like, no, I don't. No, we don't. Why? They always... Oh, and you want to just literally... He lost the argument. So he's like, oh, you know, you want to privatise the NHS and make all your friends rich. I'm like, it's playground stuff, mate. I mean, why are you lying to win the argument? Debate the actual facts. You know, and that's the problem.
But, of course, we all know these people aren't here to defend themselves tonight, hence why We're reading out their tweets. No, that's OK, but that's right. We're reading out their tweets, giving them a strong defence so they can have their defence read out on air, which, again, more than they would ever do for us, at least in this case. What do you make of it, Will?
Yeah, I think that GB News is a real channel, and obviously it's a pleasure and privilege to be invited on. Although, if I am a loser, Owen, that's fine, but I think you're possibly more of a loser. But nevertheless, I actually used to respect Owen Jones back in the day when he was a centre-left commentator at The Guardian and The Independent, and while I didn't always agree with him, he certainly was polite to people. He used to interview people on the right, people from the Liberal Democrats, people across the political spectrum who maybe disagree with him about Corbyn. But now the issue is that seemingly this has happened not just for Owen Jones but other members of the left and indeed on the right. They've been radicalised by certain issues and pushed them into their echo chambers and made them quite nasty people. Like, for example, the text that were being sent to your producer there, like, no producer should be talked to like that and in that way. If you just want to say no, thank you.
Well, I think what he was doing was quite obvious. He wanted to use it for social media, and I think that's been proven because he did use it. But the point is, and I'll push this over to you, Seb, because the point is that we want to have free speech discussions. We'll have anybody on this channel that wants to talk to us, because that diffuses and it at least gives people different perspectives. You cannot win the hearts and minds of the people if you're not willing to challenge people, as you do on this channel, as everyone else does here on this programme. And I always give massive plaudits for people who are on the left, who I disagree with politically, for coming on GB News, because you are going to have a difficult time here, perhaps. But you will happily challenge my opinions. Hopefully you feel that you can do that here.
Yeah, look, I think one of the things that going on channels like this does for me is it gets me firmly out of my echo chamber, and I end up engaging with a lot of views I disagree with. And what I would say to viewers is that if you find yourself thinking, God, that person's delusional, stop yourself and think, am I making an effort to understand that person? Maybe go outside and consume some media that you find a little bit frightening, as I did at the beginning. You know, I was firmly stuck in my echo chamber for a long time. It's healthy, it's good for debate, it's good for the state of the country.
Seb, have you ever secretly agreed with someone on this side of the panel?
I think he's openly agreed.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
So my challenge is, Owen Jones, I know you're watching, you know, let's put all the nastiness aside. Let's put all the nastiness. Come and have a debate. Come and have a debate on the #1 news channel in Britain. We're not going anywhere, all right? The leader of the Green Party, Zach Polanski, has been approached for comment. Owen Jones, of course, was asked to come on the show this evening, but instead provided, here it is, the following response. He said this: Alex Armstrong is an extremist seeking revenge because I highlighted his deleted tweet in which he wrote, "Deport them all, nothing else will stop this. They have to go." The hideous injustice I referred to was the Filton Four being sentenced for an act of terrorism after they were convicted without the knowledge of the jury. 3 of the 4 were not convicted of violence, and the other was convicted for grievous bodily harm without intent, which he should have been tried for without bogus claims of terrorism. And by the way, on that tweet I put out, just for the record, as many of you know who've watched my shows, my stepfather is a legal migrant to this country. My little brothers are mixed race. Everyone that knows me knows my intentions were talking about illegal migrants, which overwhelmingly, 60% when polled, the British public agree with me. I don't need to clarify it any more than that. You all who watch me know where I stand on these issues. Should we get to a Great British giveaway, though? It's your chance to win £76,543.21 in tax-free cash. And here's Hayley Sparks with all the details.
There's just 2 weeks left to make your summer sensational, as we're giving you the chance to win a simply stunning £76,543.21 in tax-free cash. That's cash that could go towards family treats, spectacular summer days out, or give you the chance to chill out and relax somewhere like here, the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos. You really could be our next big winner with a whopping £76,543.21 in your bank. But hurry, there's just 2 weeks remaining.
For a chance to win £76,543.21 in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 DE1, PO Box 8690, Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck, everybody. I just saw the most hilarious comment off the back of what I just said there. Someone says, deport Alex, deport Alex, ha ha. Yes, very funny, very funny, very funny. At least I'll get a free trip somewhere, hey. Maybe send me to Rwanda, it looks like a great spot. Anyway, next, Belfast houses more asylum seekers per capita than almost anywhere else in the UK, according to official figures. That's very interesting, isn't it? Because I'm also going to be joined by a Northern Irish activist who was asked by the BBC if the riots last week were racist. This is going to be really interesting, and that's up next on this wonderful show.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it? We're here again. To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the late edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, late edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, this week, violence erupted in Northern Ireland. It sparked, of course, after footage of a knife attack in North Belfast on Monday night, which was shared very widely on social media and left the victim with very serious injuries. And a man, of course, has been charged with attempted murder. His homes, businesses and vehicles were set alight, and a number of people were made homeless after their properties were attacked and set fire to by rioters going door to door, attempting to identify houses occupied by migrants. Well, violence, of course, erupted across parts of Northern Ireland following the circulation of that, and so much more has broken out since then. And reports say some groups went door to door, attempting to, of course, come after more people. And joining me to discuss this to discuss all this violence and, of course, this terrible situation in North Belfast is Director of Unius Voice Policy Studies, Jamie Bryson. Jamie, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Of course, this story has really hooked the nation, hasn't it? You've been speaking to some other channels as well about whether this was a racist riot. Was this riot, in your opinion, driven by racism?
No, and good evening, Alex. It's very pleased to join you tonight. No, it was not. Look, the issues which we see, not just in Northern Ireland, but across the United Kingdom, isn't anything to do with the colour of people's skin. It's to do with concerns across the United Kingdom in respect of working class communities, communities which are, as you will know, based upon long-standing social values, social cohesion, which has been built up over generations. And many of these communities are now seeing an influx of immigrants, asylum hotels, houses of multiple occupancy. And this is having a detrimental effect on those communities, and people just feel very angry. Then that's not the excuse anybody engaging in violence. That's not what anybody wants to see. What we have to change here is the policy. But where the anger comes from is that people feel that these changes to the very social fabric of their community are being imposed upon them, and being imposed upon them by political elites who don't have any asylum hotels in their streets, don't have any immigration impacting on their communities or their social structures. They're more than happy in their comfortable leafy suburbs, and people have just had enough of this. And as I say, engaging in violence is not the way to get your message across. But it shows just how angry many people in working class communities are, and they just label people racists or bigots, or and that's simply, in my view, not true.
Yeah, Jamie, you touched on a point there about the political class, and I'd like to just stick with that for a moment because I think it's very pertinent. When we look at the asylum accommodation map here in England, we see it is very much concentrated in some of the poorest areas of the country. Is that because of the political class not wanting it around their areas? Is that backdoor deals as to where these will be? Or is it that simply there's just no choice? That is just how it is. And is it the fault of politicians for allowing it to get this far? We were just reading in there that Belfast is basically the the asylum house capital, or per capita, of Britain. Is that part of the issue too?
Yeah, well, look, the political class think that they are, some kind of enlightened elite, and that they know better than everybody else, and they throw around these labels: equality, diversity. These labels are meaningless because they don't understand them, because they've never had to live with the impact of the broad application of them. It's not their communities who are having to deal with all of this. And look, people in working class communities can't just get up and move to London or some other leafy suburb where the best jobs are. Their whole identity is based upon communities which is built up over generations, their parents, their grandparents, and all of that is being changed. And this is being imposed upon them. They never voted for this. This was nobody's manifesto commitment. And this is something that they're having to endure. People are very fearful in Northern Ireland because now, because of the outrageous situation with the way that leaving the European Union was handled, Northern Ireland is now essentially a backdoor into the United Kingdom, where people can come, freedom of movement in the European Union, and simply cross over an almost invisible land border into Northern Ireland. And that, we've seen issues about that recently.
Do you think that the British government in general has a problem here? Because, as you touched on there, Northern Ireland is in this very weird in-out situation, this limbo, which I think was a terrible execution of Brexit, by the way. I think it was absolutely horrific how we left Northern Ireland behind. But is this a part of the problem? Do you think Westminster has an issue with paying attention to devolved nations, particularly one like Northern Ireland? Is that an issue? Do people feel that in Northern Ireland?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest issue for the Westminster government is they're terrified of upsetting the Irish government, and that has been the policy all through the Brexit negotiations. And even now, they're almost scared to. We've seen that in legacy issues in Northern Ireland, the Northern Ireland Protocol, all of that stuff. But in terms of this situation, that they would be scared to police the United Kingdom's own borders, lest they upset for political reasons the Irish government. And so the people in Northern Ireland are left essentially as, for want of a better word, a dumping ground, as a backdoor into the United Kingdom, and we're only going to see more and more illegal immigration coming into Northern Ireland and using that as a backdoor. And look, we're a very interconnected society now, so people across the United Kingdom see what's happening in other parts of the United Kingdom via social media.
Yeah.
So people in Northern Ireland see what's happening in Great Britain, and many parts of England, they don't like it. They don't want to see that coming to their communities, and we're seeing it more and more. And that's not to take away from the contribution of people who come here, who integrate into our societies, who maintain their own cultural celebrations and values, but they integrate into the communities and they want to play a part. And many of those people play a very important part in our society. But what we're increasingly seeing is large groups of immigrants coming here, almost colonizing communities, not wanting to integrate, isolating themselves and seeking to impose their values, their cultural values on our communities. And these are, and Jim Allister MP was correct, these are alien cultures, alien values, which don't sit easily and certainly don't integrate with the traditional social values, which regardless of political background, most of us share across the United Kingdom.
Indeed. Well, Jamie, look, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight and talking to our audience. We really appreciate it. That is Director of Unionist Voice Policy Studies, Jamie Bryson, there on the disorder in Belfast. The Home Office has previously said this: under the last government, asylum decision-making ground to a halt. The Home Secretary has announced the most sweeping immigration reforms in modern times, designed to speed up the appeals process and ensure those with no right to be here cannot delay their removal. The UK and Ireland are working closely together to improve the security of the common travel area while ensuring it remains open to legitimate travellers. All right, look, coming up, we have all of tomorrow's front pages. And do you think Keir Starmer would at least try to pretend to be happy? It's probably your last trooping the colour ever as Prime Minister before you've got to join the rest of us in the streets, Keir. You'd think he'd at least try and put a smile on his face, but he looked pretty glum. I wonder what's on his mind. Anyway, papers coming up next.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Whilst there's plenty of summer sunshine across much of southern Europe tomorrow, it's not fine and sunny everywhere. There's some showery rain affecting parts of Turkey, a few showers across southern Greece and around some of the islands. Mostly dry for Italy and into France as well, but we do have rain currently across western parts of Spain and Portugal, and that is going to feed its way eastwards as we go through tomorrow as well. Looking into next week, and well, there's plenty of sunshine on the cards. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. High pressure continues to build into Sunday, so lots of dry weather on its way, though perhaps a bit cloudier tomorrow compared to conditions we've seen today. Though it's very much been a north-south split in our weather, high pressure clinging on to the south, bringing mostly dry, settled conditions here. But at times low pressure has brought in some cloud, some showers across the north. Now as high pressure continues to build, most of these showers will ease away, becoming confined mostly to northern parts of Scotland through the course of the night. And elsewhere we'll see a mix of cloud, also some clearer skies. Winds lightening off as well. Most towns and cities in the low double digits, though in some rural areas under the clearer skies we could get down to the mid-single figures, so feeling a little bit cooler and fresher in these areas. So to start the day across Scotland, like I say, there will still be some showers lingering across parts of the north, a bit more cloud here. Much lighter winds, though still a fair breeze around eastern coasts of Scotland. Across southern areas of Scotland, northern England, a mix of cloud and also some clearer skies, but plenty of cloud across Northern Ireland. This could be thick enough to produce some very light outbreaks of rain. And it's a fairly similar picture elsewhere across England and Wales. Some cloud, some bright if not sunny spells at times. Now this stretch of cloud across central areas of the country could be thick enough to produce some light showers through the course of the day, but they should be mostly isolated. Many areas will see a dry, settled day, but a mix of cloud across the skies could create hazier spells of sunshine. Feeling very warm in the sunshine, particularly across the southwest. Highs could get to around 25 to 26 degrees Celsius here. Now heading into Monday, once again, lots of dry, settled weather, some sunshine to come. That's away from the southwest though, some heavy bands of showers starting to move across into Wales, southern and southwest England. We may even hear the odd rumble of thunder, and there'll still be some showers into next week, though temperatures will increase day by day, so still feeling very warm in the sunshine.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it? We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I've got your front pages here. Let's go through them together, shall we? The Express up first. 100,000 failed asylum seekers still here. This will not be a welcome headline for Shabana Mahmood, will it? The Telegraph. Jarvis. I'll get forces the funds they need. He's coming out fighting here, isn't he? So is this defence improvement plan going to get delayed again? So we're defenceless while Labour decides whether it wants to spend money on defence or not. OK. The Independent. Hang their heads in shame. Yes, this is, I believe, Michael Heseltine writing about Brexit. I don't know where this has all come from, but it's front page news according to the Independent. All right, The Times. PM overrules Miliband on electric car sale targets. Maybe all of this, Ed Miliband's running the country, has just really got underneath Keir Starmer's skin. We know he can be a bit thin-skinned. So he's like, I'm going to take away your electric car target. That'll really show him, won't it, Keir? And The Sun, what a save. England kit rescue. This is a great story. As 2 nicked for van raid. So, yeah, they got it back right in time. And then we got The Observer. Our English Picasso, paying tribute here to David Hockney, and then The Star, we was robbed. I think they're a little bit late to this, like considering we've got it back. But yes, the England kit was robbed. I somehow don't think that we would have missed the game even if we lost the kit. I think there would be solutions somehow for the multi-millions going into it. And leading the GB News website tonight is this. Well, I haven't got it. We'll play it for you later. Right, shall we start on the Prime Minister overruling Ed Miliband on electric car targets? Because I'm loving this infighting. It's just never-ending, isn't it? So Starmer wants to water down this net zero policy. So Keir Starmer will water the UK's electric vehicle targets down in a blow to Ed Miliband. This is in the Times here. The Prime Minister is understood to have overruled the Energy Secretary after sustained pressure from industry, the Unite Union and Peter Kyle. Peter Kyle, he's done it! Well done, Peter Kyle. He's the next Prime Minister. He can stand up to Ed Miliband. What do you make of this, Layla?
About time. About time. Starmer believed in something. Obviously, he's and does something that I'm like, you know what? Good on you, Starmer.
Yeah.
Listen, if he's going to... The thing is, if he's going to ever have any chance in this leadership contest, he's got to come out fighting.
Better late than never, you just want to say.
Yeah, he's got to do something drastic.
But he's in a difficult position.
I'm not sure bringing McSweeney back is quite what the drastic move he needs, but...
Yeah, but he's in a difficult position because he needs the support of Ed Miliband to survive a leadership contest, doesn't he? Because Ed Miliband, despite what we all might think about him, he is very popular inside the left of the Labour Party. A lot of people would like him as Prime Minister inside the left of the Labour Party.
But through garnering his, but through getting his support, he loses the support of the country.
But what does it matter? Well,
Yeah,
we're not going
you know,
to
by the way, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So this is the pertinent issue for Keir Starmer. Is keep Ed Miliband on side, but look a little bit tough.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so funny because I remember when Starmer did his reshuffle last September, and he actually tried to move Miliband out of the Energy Security Net Zero Department, and then Miliband just basically said no. Because Miliband, I think, as an operator and as an individual, he is so into his brief and he loves it because he genuinely believes in all this kind of stuff. And therefore, when Starmer sees how unpopular it is, Miliband doesn't care because he's got a hardcore ideological commitment to these things. And I bet Miliband's not going to be waking up tomorrow morning liking this front page of the newspaper because, of course, you're right, it does play into that narrative as well of Miliband running the country and Miliband, you know, possibly being in number 11 sometime soon. So, yeah, I think that good on Starmer for watering this down and pushing back on Miliband, but, you know, it's a bit of a sticking plaster, really, when it comes to the rest of his net zero policies.
There's also Peter Kyle. I mean, I'm genuinely
himself.
Peter Kyle, I didn't think he had it in him. I didn't think he had it in him to stand up to Ed Miliband, but he's done it. He's done it. Or is this Keir giving some plausible deniability to go, it wasn't me?
Yeah, Peter Kyle. I'm sorry, Ed. I'm sorry.
Is that what this is?
Blame Peter.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on here. Look, I think when it comes to net zero, you have to find compromises somewhere. The problem with saying we'll do something by 2030 is that 2030 comes around pretty damn quickly. And then you start to panic. So, look, I don't think this is a scrapping of Labour's net zero ambitions by any stretch of the imagination, but there are certain times when you have to say, look, let's be realistic. And do you know what? I don't agree with Ed Miliband on everything, but I have a huge amount of respect for him as someone who really cares about his brief. You don't get that very often in politics.
You're absolutely right. He's very passionate about it. It was his shadow opposition job when Tories were in coalition. Yeah. He was the shadow energy secretary then, so he's been working on this stuff for a really long time, longer than Keir Starmer has actually been an MP, perhaps, or at least
Not
similar
quite.
sort of. I think that was the same. Actually, the 2010 election was when Keir Starmer came in. So anyway, my point is, he's been doing it for a long time, and he does care about it, even if we all.
It's almost the more he does it, the more radical he, the more radical he becomes.
Yeah. But it's an area where you have to be radical. You can't do net zero half-heartedly.
Well, I think you have to do it with the consent of the public, which he doesn't have now.
Right, well, talking about consent of the public, we're going to come back and talk about Brexit, because Michael Heseltine has got a front page here on The Independent. He says Michael Gove, Boris Johnson, Nigel Farage should hang their heads in shame. Have a look at that, right? This is a front page newspaper. This is what's making the news, according to independent readers. We'll talk about that next.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
If you're working in collaboration, one with an excellent script, with an excellent director, with an excellent lighting cameraman, and hopefully an excellent actor, there is a moment when all of those energies join and a certain kind of magic is revealed. And one can see that in so many great performances that one can see on films that, of course, are not AI generated. I mean, I ask myself the question, could an AI generated film be as good as Apocalypse Now or The Godfather?
It's so funny that you mentioned that, because I had a call with the producer of The Godfather just 2 days ago about how we can work together using AI. So he thinks that it's another tool in the sandbox, that you cannot replace human creativity.
The People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Baking award-winning biscuits. Sawley Kitchen handcraft a variety of shortbreads, cookies and ginger thins. And the North Yorkshire Bakery is celebrating National Biscuit Day.
I mean, a whole day dedicated to the biscuit. Like, you have to, right? We take traditional biscuits like cookies, ginger thins, and put our own spin on it. And I'd probably say that ginger thins are the most popular. When you snap it, that noise is amazing.
Down the road from the bakery, we asked the people of Ripon for their opinion.
Well, it's probably a Jaffa cake, but that might be a bit controversial, mightn't it? Because some people say it's not a biscuit, but that's my favourite. I always used to have it when I used to go and visit my nan when I was a kid.
Definitely a chocolate hobnob. It's comforting. And no, I'm not a dunker.
GB News, the People's Channel. Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
The travellers have arrived at the cricket pitch, and let's be frank, they're not very welcome. Seems to be a pattern of just taking over public land like this, and should that stop?
If you try to book onto a campsite, i.e. a regular campsite with tents and there's shower facilities, etc., where tents, caravans go, motorhomes, your point blank will be turned down as a group. So it's impossible to get onto a campsite. I can appreciate it's a cricket field, but that's what they're doing. They're camping because they've got nowhere else to go.
OK, well, let's get the Formula A Boss MP and Graham Jones on now. Graham Jones, it's not cricket, is it?
Volunteers spend hours cleaning these places up. They spend hours investing in them, and then to have them just turned into a rubbish dump or not be able to use, and in this case and in other cases, the abuse that you receive is just incredible. I mean, it's just not acceptable.
The People's Channel.
All right, let's go back to the front pages here. I've got the front page of The Independent to show you. Let me just read it, and then I'll get my thoughts from my panel. Their promise is that this is Boris Johnson, Michael Gove and Nigel Farage, of course. Their promises of more jobs, more trade, more power for Britain have proved a con, Michael Heseltine writes, as the Brexit vote's 10th anniversary approaches. Never have so few done so much damage to so many with so little ability to execute what they lied about. The scandalously false prospectus has turned to dust and ashes. Naturally, they blame everyone else but themselves. They are the guilty men and should hang their heads in shame. It's quite the statement, isn't it, Will?
Yeah.
Well, Layla, go on. What do you think?
I mean, nothing like objective journalism in The Independent, but of those three faces, Nigel's the only one that's not been in power.
Yes, true.
So he has to blame others. He didn't have a chance to, as he said, little ability to execute. He didn't have the chance to execute yet.
Yeah.
And, I think Michael Heseltine needs to kind of get over
he's saying
it.
he lied. Do you think Nigel Farage lied to the public about what we would do with Brexit? Is it Nigel? Nigel Farage Brexit's going to be this halfway house?
I think it wasn't executed. I think both the others could easily hang their heads in shame.
Do you think it wasn't executed, Will, properly because of the state, the civil service, the body in charge of execution, or do you think Michael Gove, Boris Johnson, whoever it was in government at the time, didn't really want it?
Well, there was arguments about Boris Johnson's belief in it. I think Gove did believe in leaving the European Union. I think that is true. But of course, there's the famous list that Boris Johnson did before making his decision. So
there's two separate lists.
So there's an argument to make that Boris Johnson maybe did it for political purposes. However, perhaps later on, when his career, he did genuinely start believing in it, of course, because he was so closely associated with it. That's all hearsay. I don't know the specific views. But I think that it was actually more broadly the way in which the political class treated it as a football for many years. I mean, that 2016 to 2019 period, nothing in Parliament could get done. Everyone just argued about this issue. There was no consensus. And the issue was also is then certain political parties, namely the Lib Dems, decided to go on this revoke Article 50. We need to go back into the European Union. So there was like this constant opposition from politicians, both inside the Conservative Party, Labour and the Lib Dems, for actually pushing this through. And actually, when Boris Johnson said in 2019, let's get Brexit done, that was a sort of sigh of relief moment for many people. Thought, OK, this issue is now being put to bed. And quite frankly, most British people, I think, are actually glad this issue's been put to bed.
Is it put to bed, Seb?
I don't think it has, because people are reaching for it as a solution. And I mean, I don't blame them. I do think we need a closer relationship with Europe. I'm not calling for us to rejoin immediately. I think that would be folly. But
at some point in time.
At some point, I wouldn't say no, Alex. I certainly wouldn't say no. And on that basis, I think Michael Heseltine makes a pretty decent point. I mean, what are we, 6.5 years in? Can we honestly say we're better off? Can anyone really say that?
I have been saying for a really long time, I think when Labour get desperate, they're going to dangle the referendum over our heads. A bit like what the Tories did when UKIP were coming up on the rise. Remember that? I think we're going to get a repeat of that. Let's just quickly talk about the Sun on Sunday, shall we? Because the World Cup heist shock. England kit was rescued as 2 nicked for van raid. What a save. England Stars World Cup kit was recovered yesterday after it was plundered by thieves. Crooks raided a van, taking the gear to the team's Kansas City HQ. What do you make of this, Layla?
Well, I'm just wondering, had this happened in England, would they have recovered the kit? But
it's a good point.
You know,
Police would never find.
They would have been like, "We're really sorry, we don't have enough resources, Harry."
Yeah.
It is nice to see. I do like Harry Kane. I was quite sad that they lost their kit, but I'm happy they got it back.
We've got them back. We've got them back. It's important that we. I mean, what do you think of the new kit, Will? Were you much a football fan?
No, I'm not really. I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I like rugby. I'm afraid, which is probably not a popular opinion to have, but nevertheless. But no, I still support England in the World Cup, and I don't dislike the kit at all. And of course, if you tried to sell it, I mean, what if were they going to?
What is it? The colour that's new.
It's the colour that's new, I believe. And also, if you stole it, what were they going to do? Were they going to try and flog it and sell it? I think if you shove that on eBay, oh, by the way, I've got the New England kit fully on eBay. I think someone might figure that out quite quickly.
I'm not sure about the collar. You're right. The collar.
So what's the deal? The collar's missing. Is that the thing?
No, the actual kit was nicked. The actual England players' kit.
Yeah, but what's new about the collar?
Well, I mean, the collar last year, if you remember, well, not last year. Sorry, I don't know when it was these days. It was when we played in the Euros. Had that woke rebrand of the.
Oh, we had the whole argument about you must not sully the flag.
We will talk about this. We will talk about this in the next show. What did catch me here was Harry Kane's team play their opener on Wednesday. A source said this will not affect us.
A source.
It's like, so basically the Sun have gone this with their lead story, and the source has gone, yeah, we really don't care. They probably had 50 different backup versions.
For sure.
We know they don't play in one kit, do they? Even chuck it to the audience. So, you know, I mean, what a story from the front page of the Sun. Source said, I don't care. Why are you asking me about this? All right, listen. Layla, thank you very much for being here. You two gents will be staying with me for Alex Armstrong tonight, late edition. We've got loads more to get into here in the front pages, but first, let's get your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. High pressure continues to build into Sunday, so lots of dry weather on its way, though perhaps a bit cloudier tomorrow compared to conditions we've seen today. Though it's very much been a north-south split in our weather, high pressure clinging on to the south, bringing mostly dry, settled conditions here. But at times low pressure has brought in some cloud, some showers across the north. Now as high pressure continues to build, most of these showers will ease away, becoming confined mostly to northern parts of Scotland through the course of the night. And elsewhere we'll see a mix of cloud, also some clearer skies. Winds lightening off as well. Most towns and cities in the low double digits, though in some rural areas under the clearer skies we could get down to the mid-single figures, so feeling a little bit cooler and fresher in these areas. So to start the day across Scotland, like I say, there will still be some showers lingering across parts of the north, a bit more cloud here. Much lighter winds, though still a fair breeze around eastern coasts of Scotland. Across southern areas of Scotland, northern England, a mix of cloud and also some clearer skies, but plenty of cloud across Northern Ireland. This could be thick enough to produce some very light outbreaks of rain. And it's a fairly similar picture elsewhere across England and Wales. Some cloud, some bright, if not sunny spells at times. Now this stretch of cloud across central areas of the country could be thick enough to produce some light showers through the course of the day, but they should be mostly isolated. Many areas will see a dry, settled day, but a mix of cloud across the skies could create hazier spells of sunshine. Feeling very warm in the sunshine, particularly across the southwest. Highs could get to around 25 to 26 degrees Celsius here. Now heading into Monday, once again, lots of dry, settled weather, some sunshine to come. That's away from the southwest though, some heavy bands of showers starting to move across into Wales, southern and southwest England. We may even hear the odd rumble of thunder, and there'll still be some showers into next week, though temperatures will increase day by day, so still feeling very warm in the sunshine.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
100,000 failed asylum seekers still in Britain. That is the front page of the Daily Express. Shabana Mahmood will be getting a very sleepless night with that one, won't she? We'll talk about the consequences of that very shortly, because there's so many numbers thrown around about how many people have actually been deported, isn't there? Jarvis, the new Defence Secretary, says he'll get the forces the funds they need. So is he really going to be able to do what Healey couldn't? And the PM's overruled Ed Miliband, apparently, with the help of Peter Kyle, the Business Secretary. There's loads more coming up. See you in 2.
There's just 2 weeks left to grab a chance to live the summer of your dreams.
With a totally tax-free £76,543.21 in tax-free cash to be won.
Someone really has to win it, and it could be you.
For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225.